Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Alicia Small, and I'm a scholar at the McNair Center for Entrepreneurship and Economic Growth here at the Baker Institute for Public Policy. And I will be serving as moderator for today's discussion. And the McNair Center's work focuses on public policy relating to private enterprise in the areas of economic growth, government regulation, tax policy, and access to capital. Because adequate financing is foundational for entrepreneurs as they start, operate, or grow a business, today we will explore the topic of improving capital access for entrepreneurs from a nonprofit perspective. We have two distinguished panelists, Bridget Weston and Shashonna Duckworth. Each panelist will share insight on improving access to capital for entrepreneurs and discuss how each of her nonprofit organizations serves small businesses on a national and regional basis. We have reserved about 10 minutes at the end of the discussion to answer any questions the audience may have for our panelists. So audience members, when we reach our Q&A time, please feel free to enter your questions in the Zoom Q&A feature, and we will try to address as many questions as possible during that time. It is my pleasure to introduce our special guests. Again, we are joined today by Bridget Weston. Bridget is the CEO of the SCORE Association, which provides free mentoring and education to current and aspiring small business owners. Bridget is a respected thought leader in the small business landscape. She has testified before the House Small Business Committee and appeared on MSNBC. We are also joined by Shashonna Duckworth. Shashonna is a regional director of the Minority Business Assistance Center at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, where she provides comprehensive business management and education services to entrepreneurs. Shashonna previously served as director of the Urban League's Small Business Development Center. And prior to joining the Urban League, she served as the regional financial well-being coach for Operation Hope. Welcome to you, Bridget and Shashonna, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you for that great introduction, Alicia.
Thank you. So I am so excited again to begin our discussion, and I'd like to start out by you both giving us an overview of your organizations. So Bridget, would you begin and tell us about SCORE and what specifically SCORE does and who you serve?
Sure. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for having us as part of this amazing panel, and we appreciate all of the work you do. SCORE is a resource partner of the Small Business Administration. We have a nationwide network of more than 10,000 volunteer people who give their time and their expertise to mentor and educate anyone looking to start or grow or frankly even struggling in a small business. SCORE's mentoring is always free. 100% of the time, you can come as much as you want, and you can have as many mentors as you want. Many times the small business owners that come to us will have a mentor for general business ideas, but then someone as a specialist for access to capital, someone as a specialist in their industry, and our mentors can work together across the country. We also have, as I mentioned, educational opportunities. We do webinars just like this, more webinars than in person these days with everything going on. But when there isn't a pandemic, we also have a lot of in-person workshops in your local community, which aren't just educational opportunities, but ways to network with like-minded small business owners and learn from one another. And of course, this is all supported with our website, which has thousands of blogs, checklists, and resources, all again for free on score.org. And we are here to help small businesses start, grow, and succeed.
Oh, thank you very much, Bridget, for that explanation. And Shashonna, would you also share what the Urban League's Minority Business Assistance Center does and who you serve?
Sure. I'll start by saying the Entrepreneurship Center at Urban League actually has 3 different legs there to assist entrepreneurs. It consists of the Small Business Development Center, which you mentioned. It is a state-run program and is powered by SBA. It's available for small businesses who are in the ideation phase of their business planning, or even those businesses who are in that growth and development phase. The Small Business Development Center is there to provide technical assistance and one-on-one business advisory services, just like our partner SCORE, at no cost to that small business. The second area within our Entrepreneurship Center is our UBS Center. Our UBS Center is an incubator for experienced businesses and is also the center that handles and manages our lending program. We do have a lending program available for our small businesses, and our lending program has a low interest rate. And the good thing about the lending program that we have within our UBS Center is that no one gets denied. If you apply for this program and you don't qualify, we don't deny you, we get you there. So we work with you, we determine what the opportunities are, and we assist you with building and getting to that point where you're able to access that capital. And then, of course, the last area would be our Minority Business Assistance Center, which I am the regional director of, and it is available to assist minority businesses with certifications, contract procurements, and access to capital.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Shashonna, for that comprehensive explanation of the organization. And so as leaders in your unique organizations, what do you all perceive are the most persistent barriers to capital access for entrepreneurs, and how do you address those barriers? So Shashonna, could you kind of start us out with that?
Sure. I believe when it comes to accessing capital, especially the small businesses that we encounter in specifically minority businesses, I would say number one would be that lender fatigue. A lot of businesses we see are tired. They're tired of being rejected. They're tired of being declined for loans. So they get to the point where they no longer apply because they automatically assume that they will be declined. Another large barrier is financial literacy. We see this all the time within the small businesses. They don't have the financial literacy, and they don't have a large percentage of them don't have accountants readily available and at their immediate access.
Okay. And Bridget, do you see similar barriers or additional barriers, and how do you address those?
We do. I think Shashonna hit the nail on the head, excuse me, with many of the issues that small business owners see. I will add that what we also see specifically or more in underserved communities like minority business owners or rural business owners is that there is a lack of a relationship with a lender. So because that they don't have that relationship, then those things like the financial literacy comes into play, the lender fatigue, as Shashonna mentioned, because they haven't been able to build that relationship to feel confident going in to ask for that loan or whatever that case would be. We also do see that some of the things our clients tell us is the process itself is complicated and hard to understand, which is why organizations like both of ours are here to help. I know we'll talk later about the pandemic, but that is one thing we can do is help to strengthen the position of the small business owner when they go to seek that loan or financial assistance, whatever the case would be, so that they're putting their best foot forward and have a greater chance of success.
Okay, yes. And so are there specific things that you do in particular to address those barriers? Could you elaborate a little bit on that, Bridget?
Sure. Some of the things we do specifically as it relates to the financial literacy, as Shashonna was speaking about, we have built a lot of programming to talk to that very specifically. Everything from, the business plan portion of it to understanding cash flow projections, even personal financing. We see, unfortunately, because there are these barriers to access to capital, that people are then using personal funds or funds from family and friends, which can then cause problems down the road, both financially, like a credit score, to relationships being damaged. So that's one thing that a score mentor or other technical assistants will look at too. We'll look at credit scores and say, listen, this is going to be a problem if you want to apply for these types of financial assistance. Let's work on that, or here are ways you can work on your credit score, for example. The other things we will do is sit and look at the financial projections, and we have financial experts that can go and look and say, okay, here's what a bank or a credit union will be looking at. Let us help you get these numbers, to a better place. And literally sit there and work on the spreadsheets until it's in a better position. SCORE has many relationships with local financial institutions where if someone isn't ready or isn't approved, they will send them to us for that mentoring and counseling and hopefully go back and have a better shot.
Okay. Yeah, and Shashonna, do you all do similar things or anything in addition? I know you mentioned actually helping them get those lenders and get the funds, but was there anything else?
Yeah, Bridget did a great job discussing the programming that they have available. We work very closely with SCORE, even connecting our businesses to them for mentoring services. We also offer financial literacy program and business support services. You know, I always tell entrepreneurs that entrepreneurship is a lonely road and you don't have to walk at it alone. You know, because what happens is they get out there and they don't know. Okay, so some of the programs that we have to help them travel that road would be like our Becoming Bankable program. Our Becoming Bankable program is a program that walks the small businesses through properly understanding financials, understanding QuickBooks, taking them through the setup of QuickBooks training, and they also receive no-cost advisory services with the CPA.
Okay. And so because your organizations both have this extraordinary benefit of being free, offering these free services to clients, do either of you have an idea of financial outcomes that have for your businesses that use your services?
I can start, unless Shashonna, you'd like to go first.
Go ahead, you can start.
So one of the things we know about our clients is that those who receive 3 hours or more of mentoring from any organization, both of ours or other resource partners of the SBA, are 5 times more likely to increase their revenue. So as Shashonna was saying, and it can't be said enough, you are not alone. Reach out to a mentor, someone who can advise you to make sure and just have that sounding board. It does result in greater chances of success. The other things that SCORE has seen and measured, particularly this past year with the pandemic, is that those who worked with a SCORE mentor, last year, 82% of them stayed in business. And with all of the businesses closing because of the pandemic, we are really proud of that number. We were able to help businesses pivot and keep their doors open, and now we're ready to take it to that next level. So those are some of the things. We also help businesses who are ready for it. Not every business owner wants to be someone who creates jobs. Sometimes they're just solopreneurs, but if there is a business that wants to add jobs, we have done that as well. Last year, we added the businesses added with the help of SCORE mentors, nearly 75,000 jobs to our country last year. So those are the types of things we measure and are really proud of our partnership with the businesses we work with.
Wonderful. And Shashonna, were there any financial outcomes that you all kind of track as well for businesses that use your service?
Yes. So Bridget did a great job, actually. She mentioned what I was going to mention about the revenue growth, but also in addition to that, what we have been able to do during this pandemic, something that I was really proud of, is that our entrepreneurs were able to see with every disaster comes opportunity. Within the past year, we helped start almost 50 new businesses. Okay. And then in addition to that, jobs, we saved over 300 jobs and over 200 new jobs were created.
Wow, that's great. And that is something I wanted to touch on a bit about during the pandemic. If you all noticed a difference in the barriers, the types of barriers that these companies or businesses actually experienced. And if so, how?
I would say that the barriers were consistent during the pandemic. As federal and state recovery programs were implemented, being able to quickly apply was vitally important. For small businesses who did not have items such as those financials, your federal tax returns, your business banking information readily available at your fingertip, they missed out on those recovery opportunities because that deadline was gone. And by the time they were able to reach out to someone, they had missed the deadline or funding was no longer available. So the businesses who were able to take advantage of those funding opportunities were the ones who were ready and had that financial literacy and had an accountant. And Bridget mentioned making sure that you already have a banker. And this is the reason why I call it the Bell team. You have your banker, you have your accountant, you have your insurance rep, and your legal representation. Every business owner should have it already at your fingertip and ready for anything that may come up.
Yes, that's great. Did you have anything to add to that, Bridget, at all? Or?
Well, first of all, I love the bail team. So I am going to borrow that from you, Shashonna, and attribute that to you anytime I use it, but that is fantastic. And I will just add to it because everything that was said is completely accurate. I think what the pandemic did is emphasize the discrepancies and the gaps between different types of business owners. Minority business owners struggled more, and that became even more apparent, unfortunately, during the pandemic. Some of the stats we had seen, even with the federal financial assistance opportunities that are out there, Black and Hispanic business owners were more likely to apply to federal loans, but less likely to receive the funds. And again, it's a challenge, it's a problem, it needs to be addressed. And these are some of the things that we, through our programs with mentoring and education, are trying to help shrink those gaps. Another thing that we saw be more pronounced during the pandemic was childcare. Because of everything being shut down, those who couldn't, those who had children or couldn't afford childcare, or their childcare options were shut down, it severely limited what they could do with their business. And unfortunately, the statistics show, Hispanic and Black business owners suffered greater than white business owners because of this. So these are areas that have now become more clear and are things that business owners are telling us that they would like assistance with moving forward.
Yes. So do you all have specific things that you've done to address those types of issues that did occur during the pandemic?
So SCORE is nonpartisan. So we didn't specifically address anything on the national level. What we do is work with the small business owners to help figure out even, childcare or any type of care, right? A lot of people became caregivers. So, okay, how can we work with this and still keep your business going? Or, maybe the answer was, let's pause your business temporarily so that you can open it in 6 months. And let's figure out how to take those steps in the right way. The other thing we've done was basically, to emphasize Shashonna's point, help business owners understand that you need a plan when disaster strikes, because it's not just a pandemic. It could be, a natural disaster like hurricanes or wildfires. I mean, we see these things all of the time. And if you have that plan and have your bail team, courtesy of Shashonna, ready in place, you are going to be so much more likely to be successful. So that's our approach, is helping to try to prepare business owners for the inevitable next challenge that you will have, and help increase financial literacy and help build those disaster plans.
Excellent. And, we did talk about how all of these services that you offer are free. Another item was, do you actually track the number of value of loans made with the help that you provide that otherwise wouldn't be made?
Yes, so I'll start with that. Yes, so within last year, by the end of 2020, the small businesses, which we serviced over 5,000 clients that year, in total, those businesses had infused over $12 million into the economy. Of that $12 million, our small businesses, it was about 70% of that, 60 to 70% of that were actual loans.
All right. And Bridget, just from your vantage point, you're in that DC area, just wondering, what public policies, present or future, do you see as foundational to working to resolve the access to capital issue post-COVID?
What we're hearing from our small business owners is that the first thing that actually helped them most during this pandemic, from the access to capital perspective, rated double the PPP loans or the EIDL loans or the stimulus checks that were sent out. And the rationale behind that is there weren't any strings attached. There wasn't any red tape. They were able to spend that money on what they thought was best for their business. A lot of these other programs, understandably, have restrictions. So what we're hearing from our small business owners is making it easier to access and apply for these, make the applications easier, make the forms easier to fill out, connect the people who are applying with organizations like ours, form partnerships with banks and other lending institutions so that it is a more integrated process. Those are the types of things that we're hearing from our small business owners that I believe would be helpful to many of the small business owners that we serve.
And Shashonna, seeing the challenges just of business owners on that more regional level, are there current public policy initiatives that you or your organization, supports or is pursuing to actually increase access to capital for entrepreneurs?
So when it comes to minority businesses, there is sometimes a challenge when it comes to securing government contracts, securing larger bids, because they're smaller businesses. We offer assistance with becoming certified, as I mentioned. The MBE certification, which is also the Minority Business Enterprise, and also the Women and Veteran-Owned Business Certification. Currently, how it works is you get certified through the state, but then you also have to get certified through the different cities that you're looking at bidding in or operating in. That does become a cumbersome process for our small businesses, especially the minority ones, because there is still that technical divide. And a lot of times they don't make it that far because it's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of processes. You have to prove your identity. You have to prove that you were born here. And it's not just providing a copy of your birth certificate. There's a lot more that you have to do. So there's Senate Bill 105 that was recently passed by the Senate, which will allow cross-certification, which is huge for our small businesses, because now when we submit a certification packet, which is a stack high of papers, over to the state to say, hey, this business is ready for certification, that's it. We don't have to then go over to Cleveland or Columbus or any other city and say, now we have to start back over with your process.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And I'd like to actually talk about partnerships. And I know that both of your organizations do partner with the Small Business Administration in some fashion. And with regards to improving access to capital, Shashonna, how does that partnership work with the Small Business Administration?
Okay, so the Small Business Development Center is powered by SBA, so they do provide funding through the Small Business Development. SBA does provide funding for the Small Business Development Center. We all work closely with SBA when it comes to making sure that clients are available, that clients have that access to capital with things such as their different programs that they implement. They have different resource programs that they offer to small businesses. They have resource fairs, and what we do is make sure that the businesses are not only aware of these programs, that they're receiving the technical assistance and they're ready for these programs. So there's a Meet the Lender program that we have actually here locally that our SBA representative usually handles. And what it is it pulls together all of the traditional and non-traditional banking representatives and put them inside of, whether it's at Tracy or at the convention center, they get together and we invite all of these small businesses here. And what these small businesses are able to do is go around to each one of these financial institutions, and what they're there with their packet because we have them ready, and they're there to talk about their business. They're there to actually apply for lending products right there in one setting with multiple financial institutions, public and private. And that is a great program that we partner with SBA on, and we are always working with SBA collaboratively.
Okay. And Bridget, same question. What does that SBA partnership look like for you all at SCORE?
It's very similar to what Shashonna just shared. We collaborate a lot on making sure that the right resources and information is getting out to the small business owners. And like all of the resource partners, there are 30 million small business owners in the world, and that does not count those wanting to start. So there are plenty of people out there to help. And we are, we're not even diving too deep into those numbers. So we really do try to work together to make sure we're amplifying the message of all of us to get the word out and reach these markets that need and would benefit from our help, all of these small business owners. The SBA and SCORE work closely. Actually, it was National Small Business Week. There was just a virtual summit this week. SCORE was the lead of that virtual summit, putting those events on and making sure that everything ran smoothly. And, again, just helping understand what the programs are that the SBA is supporting, giving us that information and making sure we get it out to our audience is a great way that we partner together.
Okay. Yeah, and are there any other partnerships that your organizations have with other entities? I don't know, either one if you want to share.
So I'll go. We are a very close entrepreneurial ecosystem. All of the organizations work very closely together. We have worked in our area to develop the Business Growth Collaborative, which is a collaboration of 11 of the large nonprofit organizations that are within the entrepreneurial ecosystem assisting minority-owned businesses. It consists of, organizations such as Jumpstart, ECDI, the President's Council, Magnet, and a list of others. And within this partnership, we have assisted with infusing over $15 million of capital into our small businesses. And they have generated over $65 million in revenue.
Wow. All right. And Bridget, I have this similar question for your other organizations you partner with.
I was just admiring the great partnerships that you have, Shashonna. We have a lot of great partnerships, both at the local level and the national level. So we have 240 SCORE chapters across the country, and they do a fantastic job partnering with, local chambers, local banks, local economic development centers, all of those community organizations to help one another and support one another. We even partner with libraries and have open office hours for anyone who wants to just come and ask an expert a question. And those help SCORE to be integrated into the communities that we're serving and be where the small business owners are. And then at the headquarter level, we partner mostly with corporate organizations and other national organizations. So we partner with the US Chamber, the US Black Chambers, US Hispanic Chamber to make sure we're sharing about our resources to each other's audiences. The corporate partnerships through our SCORE Foundation really help to support SCORE programs and get other resources into the hands of small business owners. So specifically during the pandemic, there were a lot of organizations that stepped up to provide grants to business owners. So those types of partnerships helped us to help our small businesses, whether it was the FedEx Small Business Grant or NAV, or working with other organizations to make sure they know not just about grants, but what other free programs there might be out there from Grow with Google or Facebook or whatever those organizations are.
Mm-hmm. And so just, with all of these great partnerships, in your opinion, how much more unmet need for small business lending do you think is out there? I don't know, Shashonna, if you want to take that one, start us out on that at all.
Sure. I think definitely there is still a need. Our small businesses are still challenged, and a big part of it is specifically when it came to the relief programs. We all understand that there was a plane flying while it was being built, right? But we also need to understand that almost 60% of minority-owned businesses were already disadvantaged before the pandemic. Okay, so they weren't able to take advantage of a lot of those programs that required, that had credit policy to them and required specific credit scores or specific sales and revenue. A lot of the small businesses were not able to take advantage of that. So there are still a lot of challenges because those businesses are still currently in need.
Mm-hmm. And Bridget, as well, in your opinion, that unmet need, do you see that in the small business lending as well?
Yes, I mean, as was just mentioned, there were small business owners all across the country that tried to receive financial assistance and were denied. And unfortunately, those rates, that there was such a higher rate for minority business owners. I mean, much less likely to receive the help. I think it was white business owners were twice as likely as Black business owners to receive a new loan, and 39% of Hispanic business owners. So, there is a discrepancy. And if there's that difference, then yes, there is a need for that access to capital because people are obviously standing up saying, I need help, and not everyone's getting it.
Mm-hmm. So in order to address the unmet need, what changes in public policy do you think could actually help that? Do you think we need more alliances between nonprofits and banks and companies? What would you say to that? I don't know, Shashonna, you want to start us out?
Sure. I would say that I think that there needs to be a decrease in those barriers to that entrepreneurship role for the disadvantaged groups through additional mentoring program like SCORE. And I'll say again, when I mentioned partnerships, our local SCORE office, we work with them very closely all the time, referring clients over for mentoring programs, but we need more. We need more. We need more mentoring programs. We need more expanded resources that coach individuals and loan applications, what that process look like, what to look for, because that in turn will improve the success rate for traditional financing options. And a lot of times that's the problem, is the traditional financing options that our small businesses are not able to tap into.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Bridget.
No, I think, again, while there's no public policy that SCORE advocates or endorses or does not, I think Shashonna hit the nail on the head when she said, decreasing those barriers. And that's something that SCORE is working to do by trying to build financial literacy and build our own partnerships, both locally and nationally. We're seeing success with that. And we agree, we would like more mentors, more programs. It's something that we advocate for on the Hill for SCORE, and we know that it works. These programs work. So if we can have more of us, that would be better.
And when you talk about the mentors and all of these trainings that you offer, could you just give me an idea of what a mentor is like for SCORE, their background? And thank you.
Sure. So our mentors, I love our mentors. They are people who have been there, done that experience. So they were small business owners themselves, or, experts in a specific business area, whether it's marketing or finance or importing, exporting. These mentors have all been trained in what we call our mentoring methodology, because our mentoring has to be personalized and customized based on your business needs, your goals. But there is a way that works to stop and suspend judgment, listen to the person across the table from you, assess what their, challenges are and how we can, make a plan together, provide them with the resources, and then keep checking in and setting expectations, being that sounding board, being that resource. We walk alongside our small business owners every step of the way. Some people that have used SCORE have been with their mentor for 10 plus years and have seen them grow tremendously. So the mentor-mentee relationship really is based on what the needs of that business owner has. And again, we just encourage you to use a mentor, talk with them, figure out what you would want to work on with your business. Sometimes it's really hard. Small business owners are so busy. It's so hard to take a step away and think about, my strategic plan or my disaster plan, because I have to make payroll today. I can't think about anything else. But I promise you, if you take the time to talk to any kind of mentor or advisor that is there for you and has no ulterior motive, it will help you make better business decisions, see things you couldn't, validate the things that you are working on, and you are more likely to be successful.
Yeah. And Shashonna, with the advisors that you all have, is there a certain training that they have as well at the Minority Business Assistance Center?
Yes. So all of our business advisors are CBA certified, and that is a certified business advisor is actually a master's level curriculum certification course that is administered through Kent State University. So they are CBA certified. And our business advisors are there to assist small businesses with whatever it is they need assistance with. So they sit down with those business owners, they go through, evaluate their situation, determine the opportunities, determine what their goals are, and set up a plan around it. So they work with them to set up a strategic plan, but it doesn't stop there. They also work with them to make sure that they're accomplishing those goals. Whatever those goals are, whatever direction they're interested in going in or need to go in, that's what they do. But they're also there to have those tough conversations. Maybe this is not the route. Maybe we should go this route. Or maybe this is not a good industry for you to enter into, because that's our job. I kind of look at it like I tell the business advisors, you are the doctor to their business. Okay. You go to your doctor, you look for advice. You want your doctor to tell you if you're doing something right, if you're doing it wrong, or if there's a better way you can do it. And we have to make sure that we're being their proper doctor and that we're giving them the best advice possible. So we're there for whatever they need, assessing all of their needs and their opportunities.
Thank you for sharing that. Just sounds like a wealth of just knowledge that each of these mentors and volunteers, all of them have, and that's excellent. So just, again, realizing that currently things are just constantly changing with this pandemic, and even the resources that are available. How are you helping clients with aspects of the pandemic, or are you helping them with, rescue packages that are currently available, such as the Employee Retention Tax Credit or the PPP loan forgiveness program?
So we have from a federal, state, and local level, whenever new relief programs are implemented, we are at the forefront. We first make sure that there is an informational out there. So we hold webinars when the economic injury disaster loan and PPP and some of the governor release programs were first implemented. What we did is we held weekly webinars. The webinars were out there to provide literature and information on the program, qualifications, and the steps for applying, but then also making sure that we address any questions that those small businesses have. We also was there to walk these small businesses through the process because, again, a lot of them may not understand the process. They may not have their documents together. So what we did is we met with a lot of businesses inside the office, inside our computer labs, and sat down with them, walked them through the application process, and making sure that they understand it. Making sure they understood what was going inside that system and what would come next and what that process entailed. Same thing with the forgiveness process. Right now, we're in the midst of making sure that clients and small businesses do not miss that forgiveness, that they're reaching out to their financial institution and discussing that forgiveness application. So a big part of it has been communication, making sure that it's rapid communication because time is always of the essence right now. Rapid communication and being there to be a resource and walk them through all of the processes.
And Bridget, as well, are there similar things that SCORE is doing with these different packages?
Definitely. And I like what was just said about rapid communication. I mean, we see it as our job to know as closely as possible to when things come out, how the ins and outs work, and be able to convey that and basically translate that to those who aren't experts in PPP loans or EIDL loans. Okay, so how does this work to the average small business owner who isn't a financial expert? So that's something that we try to do. And there were other programs, the Shuttered Venues program, the Restaurant Revitalization program. Those are all things that we feel it's our responsibility to learn, understand, and then communicate effectively and quickly. And there are other things I think you said about helping businesses through the pandemic. Another thing that's not specific to access to capital, but affects the bottom line. We're seeing a lot of our small business owners who are employers struggle with employee retention and recruitment. And that's something that we continue as our mentors working with the business owners to identify how your employees will, come back or stay, and what are other alternatives you can do. It's not, just salary, looking at the full benefits package and what can you do that won't break the bank, So those are the types of struggles we are still having small business owners come to us with and trying to work with them on.
And so, if you just thinking about these programs that have been offered, is there any way or any idea that you have that how this could have been done differently in the future to improve their reach? We've kind of talked about just the distribution to minority and women-owned businesses or underserved communities, and how it was a bit lacking. So any ideas on that as far as improving the reach? Bridget, I don't know, or.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's a great question. Something, what we do at SCORE is anytime, a big project finishes, we always look back and do a postmortem, right? Okay, what worked well? What could have been done differently? And I know that the SBA and the government have already been looking at, okay, like this worked well and what could be done. And yeah, we were fixing a plane midair. I mean, it was necessary. And I think everyone had the best of intentions and did, many of the right things. So I think to your point, getting the word out through things we've talked about, partnerships, right? I mean, making sure that the word is spread wide and often, and to all of the corners of the country, to make sure everyone is aware and that there is an equitable shot at getting those opportunities. And also clear communication about how to do this. The weekly webinars that Shashonna mentioned, many of our chapters did that as well. And, to have that partnership with the SBA, to be able to walk it through step by step and make it clear from the beginning so that people can start off, right at the get-go with understanding what needs to be done. Those are two things that we've already seen we know need to happen better and have started to make those improvements.
Thank you for sharing that, Bridget. And Shashonna, did you have any additional?
Bridget did a great job.
Okay. Yeah. And just as far as we know there are a lot of different programs. Can each of you give us your thoughts on one or two of the programs, just that and your perspective on them and how they functioned?
I know that when PPP and EIDL first rolled out, we were doing a lot of, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce was doing a lot of webinars, and their policy head was talking, just because there was so much confusion between what is PPP for and what is EIDL for and how do we go about these. And PPP is the payroll protection program, and EIDL is economic injury disaster loan. So there was confusion about, can I use EIDL for payroll if I needed to? Well, yes, you could, but because there was also PPP, so there was just a lot of confusion. And I think that, again, we tried to do the best we could to make it clear what could and could not be used. But any clarity in a snapshot, because again, those small business owners are busy. So to try to make it clear, okay, here are my options and here are the 4 that apply to me. Let's go. That's something that, again, and we're trying to do at SCORE too with anything we offer. I mean, we have a ton of resources on our website. How can we make it easier for small business owners to know what applies to them today?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Today really matters.
Yes.
And Shashonna, did you have anything to add as well regarding the programs? And
I would say I definitely agree with what Bridget just said. In addition to that, the communication when it came to the different programs, the EIDL pretty much has ended, PPP pretty much has ended, but we still have the targeted advanced grants out there. We still have those EIDL grants coming through. And the businesses are not really understanding. A lot of the businesses are thinking that it's spam coming through their email or it's fraud coming through their email. Hey, someone just sent me this email and said, put my social security number in here. So what we're doing right now is trying to make sure that we are communicating to the businesses. If you get an email from SBA, it may not say SBA. It may just say targeted advanced grant. If you get anything that's asking for your personal information, don't just delete it. Don't just put your information in. If you're questioning it, reach out to us. Forward me the email and I'll let you know.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So thank you both. So we've actually come to our point where we can review our Q&As. And if our audience has any questions for us, we'll see if they, here we go. So our question is, the panelists help businesses meet the requirements of lenders. Do we also need a change in how lenders decide credit worthiness? Do you have ideas on what changes are possible? Who'd like to take that one for us?
I'll start. I think that there has been a lot of different changes when it comes to credit policy. I think we have come a long way, especially when it comes to traditional banking. I think it will be almost impossible to meet the needs of every business when it comes to traditional banking, but I do think that within the banking system, there needs to be more of a streamlined approach as there is with mortgages. Okay, when it comes to mortgages, it's more regulated. There's a streamlined approach. You know what you're looking at, you know what you're going to get. And when it comes to business financing, looking at something similar to that and starting to just review a policy similar to that may be worth it.
Thank you, Shashonna.
Great answer. No more to add.
Okay. Let's see if we have any others. Okay. Can Shashonna tell us more about SB 105 and cross certification? Was that a bill in Congress? Is that cross-certification between states or cross-certification between state and federal governments? Where can we find more information about that?
So I will put a link in the box. And right now it is in Ohio, and what it is across the state. So if you receive your certification from Ohio, if I send your information into the state of Ohio to be certified, that certification works for every city.
Okay. Could you tell us more about Target Advance grants?
So what the Targeted Advance Grant is if you received EIDL, you have to have received the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. If you in the grant, if you receive that grant, then what happens is SBA will consider you for this targeted advance grant of $5,000. And the way it works is they look at the area that you're in. If you're in one of their areas that they consider to be a distressed area, then you qualify for this grant. If you qualify for this grant, they email you. Okay, they're just emailing you saying, hey, you get this grant. And there's no phone call, there's no application you submit. It's just an email that says that you qualify. Click here, this link, and update your information and let us know if you're interested in accepting it. The same thing with the loan increases.
Okay, thank you. And just overall, I just wanted to find out if the audience members would like to learn more about your organizations, what would be the best way for them to do that?
So I will put my contact information in the chat, but you all can email us at MBAC, M as in Mary, B as in boy, A as in apple, C as in cat, info@ulcleveland.org.
And also, Shashonna, just thinking about it, now the Urban League has offices across the nation, correct?
Yes.
So is there also kind of like a place where a centralized place where people in different locations can access their local Urban League?
Yeah, so what they will want to access is the local Small Business Development Center, and I will put that link in there for the SBDC website, okay?
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And Bridget as well, as far as trying to learn or get more information about the SCORE organization overall.
Sure. The best place you can go is our website, score.org. You can search our mentor profiles and connect directly with a mentor. You can also find your local SCORE chapter and have them help you decide what the right type of mentor is for you. And you can see a list of all of the upcoming educational workshops and webinars and all of the template and tools that we have on our website as well.
Wonderful. Well, I don't believe we have any more questions in our chat. So, or our Q&A, excuse me. So that will have to be our final question and bringing us to the end of our discussion today. But I want to thank you both, Shashonna and Bridget, for sharing your time and insights today on improving access to capital from a non-profit perspective. And thank you both for the work that you do to make those improvements. It has been a pleasure to speak with you. And I want to thank our audience members as well for attending today. Also, just for your questions. And I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience has as well. And also, please know that the McNair Center will continue this series next month with a webinar on the application of blockchain technology to small business lending. So please stay tuned. And thank you all again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.